What's happening, bonsai friends? Today I'm going to be working on this Yamadori Hawthorn bonsai. I need to do some pruning and some branch selection in order to set this tree up for its future design as a bonsai. I'll also ask for your advice in terms of which direction to take the design of this tree. Oh, but if we're only just meeting, my name's Darren and my channel is all about bringing you information and inspiration as I grow my trees through the seasons. So if that sounds like something you're into, consider subscribing. A little bit about this tree then. This tree was collected by Harry Harrington of Bonsai for Me. It was collected in the autumn of 2017, if I remember correctly. I purchased this tree late winter, early spring of 2018. I've been feeding and watering it since. I did a little bit of branch selection last autumn, put a bit of wire on one or two of the branches, and as you can see, this tree is bursting with health now and it's really ready for its first proper major work. So today I'm going to be doing some pruning to get rid of some of the growth that we don't need. So I'll start by pruning away some of the obvious stuff that I don't want. So down here we've got a lot of wispy growth. We don't need any of this. So I'm going to start by coming in and pruning away all of these wispy things that aren't necessary. I've been given a couple of ideas in terms of the direction in which to take the design of the tree. So obviously this trunk with lots of movement and not a lot of taper, and in fact no taper, lends itself quite naturally to be in the Literati or bunjin style. And so I'm going to pursue that kind of a direction. So the first piece of inspiration that I encountered was via someone called Smithy. Smithy suggested keeping the tree approximately upright and training growth down into this area from the top of the tree, creating a nice piece of movement. I'd go for some thin trailing branches rather than a big bushy apex on this tree. So that's one option. Another option, I was inspired by a photograph of a hawthorn that another member of the same forum posted, and the shape that the trunk takes on of the hawthorn out there in the wild lends itself quite well to the movement we've got in this trunk. In fact, it's quite similar actually. So that's another option, and that involves changing the angle of the tree and developing an apex higher up and really maximising the height of this tree. So instead of dropping trailing branches down, we would create again a sort of a thin, very transparent crown to the tree. Not a big dense thing that you might see on Japanese black pine for instance, but a crown further up in this area, creating a very elegant tall design. So what I want to know is, what would you do with this tree? What direction would you go in? Would you create the trailing design? Would you go for the more tall, elegant example? Or can you see something else in this tree that maybe I've missed? So smash me a comment down below and let me know which way you would take this tree, how you would progress it, what choices you would make. It's really going to help me out because I've been baffled on this one for quite some time actually. Okay, so now that I have eliminated all of that wispy growth that I knew wasn't needed, I need to make some saw cuts, take off some of these lumps and stubs that have been left behind that I know that aren't going to be necessary. Let's get rid of them, try to prevent them throwing out more and more buds in the future. Okay, so if I sit with you guys for a second then, I wanted to get your opinions on these gins we've got here. I'm not a massive fan of gins on deciduous trees, but I hesitated before I removed these ones because, well, for a start you can't put them back once they've gone, they've gone. But also I was wondering if they added a certain something to the tree. Do you think that having something break up that line adds something? Or do you think I should get rid of those because they interrupt the flow of the tree? You know, your eye follows up and you just got these random gins going against the direction of the tree. Do they stop your eye? Do they fill in some of that space? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I think if we went for the trailing branch design with removing all of this and having some trailing branches form the crown of the tree, these are going to really interrupt that flow in both areas. Interrupt the flow here and coming back down. I think they're going to grab the attention. If we went for more of the design that builds a crown up the top here, I think that becomes less of an issue. I'm not convinced that these gins really add anything. There's so much character and movement and interest through this trunk that having these gins stop the eye at this level doesn't give me any incentive to keep them on. There's nothing about them that... I mean, they do suggest age to a degree. Any deadwood does, but I don't think that what they bring to the tree in terms of age justifies that interruption to the flow of the tree. I think they detract from the tree rather than enhance the tree. Yeah, so drop me a comment, let me know what you do with these gins as well. I think I'll delay making a decision on those and I'll come back to those later. So I've got some tidying up to do up in the apex. That one's going back on itself. So I'll get rid of that one. This section forms a group of 3. And it's also coming down at a weird angle, so I'll take that whole branch off. There's another shoot here. It's going back over the trunk. I don't need that. Group of 3 there. We don't need this little wispy fellow. I've got a group of 3 here. So we've got this one up here. We've got one that comes off the back, and we've got this one shooting back that way. I'm going to remove that one there. So in this area we've got what will be the next section of trunk to form the apex, and we've got a branch in front of it here, and they're going in roughly the same direction. And also I want this to thicken and even out the taper faster because it's going to be the next section of trunk. So I want to divert as much energy as possible into this section, and to do that I can hold back the branch, forcing more energy to go into the apex. That's going to thicken that quicker, and we'll get to where we're going with that one much faster. There's several branches in this area coming off the trunk in this direction, so I'm going to go ahead and make the cut for this particular branch. I held on to this piece. I'm not really sure what my thinking was with that one. It just seemed like if I did want to branch lower down on the trunk, it just seemed like this one was in a good position on the outside of that bend. But I think in both potential designs, with an apex up here or a trailing branch down here, it's only going to detract, draw the eye from the flow of the trunk. So let's get rid of this one as well. In the case of the trailing branch design, we've got a piece that grows down this way that I've trained last year, and then it splits into this pair of branches that come off at radical angles. Now, we don't need both of these, and the angle that they divide is pretty unsightly. It's going to look like, it's not going to look particularly great if I keep those, even if one becomes the main section and the other's a branch off that section. It's going to look pretty rough. So I need to remove one of these in order to continue to develop a nice line. So the one that I'm going to keep is the one that's in the best direction, and we'll get rid of the piece that's in the worst direction. Okay, so just some minor tidying up of this potential trunk to do. Getting rid of any groups of 3 and any branches that are growing at obnoxious angles. Okay, so last autumn I popped some wire on to position these branches a little bit better than what they were doing. I partially removed some of the wire when it began to cut in, and now I think it's time to remove the remaining wire. Bennett, that was fiddlier than it should have been. While we're mulling over the gins and which future design to go for, let's chew this stump off with the knob cutters. So that's the work for today completed on this hawthorn. Now I really want your opinions. I'm trying to decide whether to pursue a drop branch design and fill in the crown, a nice slender crown in this area built off of this branch, or do I go for a design that really emphasises the elegance and the tall slenderness of this tree and build a thin crown on top? So let me know in the comments, what would you do? Would you go for the taller design, or would you go for the drop branch design? Write me down below, let me know. I would love to hear what you think. It's going to really help me make the decision. Also, I've left these gins in place for now. Also let me know about those. Again, would really help me out to make that decision. Hit subscribe and you'll see what happens with this tree. Drop me a comment, ring the bell, all of the things. And thanks for watching, and I will speak to you soon. Take care.